All right, Q&A number 3. So Dane from Instagram asks, you said at one point that you used to be found out and about drunk as hell. Out of curiosity, what turned you around from stuff like that? I guess the quick answer to that question is I was tired of feeling sick and embarrassed of myself. I was tired of waking up every morning ashamed of what I'd done the night before. I remember one time I woke up and I was like, who drove me home? I drank so much that I didn't really remember the whole night. And then my heart sunk because I realized I drove myself home. A lifetime of doing that. The lives I could have wrecked beyond my own. So I drank a lot because I had social anxiety. So then it's like, why did I have social anxiety? Because you have to address your own problems that are causing the addiction, right? It's not as simple as, oh, I need to quit drinking because I drink too much. It's more like, I need to quit drinking because I drink too much, because I hate myself, because why? I want to say David Foster Wallace described anxiety as crippling self-obsession, and that's really what it was. I was so concerned with how I was being perceived by those around me that my actions became an estimation of what I thought they wanted. And when you do that, your sense of self slowly vanishes. I think there's a fine line between really enjoying something and using that thing to medicate your own internal turmoil. People do it with a lot of things. You could really like food, but then all of a sudden you're eating every time you feel sad, and all of a sudden you're eating beyond what you need because you're no longer feeding your body, you're feeding an emotional hole. And it could be anything. It could be video games. It could be porn. There's a whole slew of activities that we can reach toward to just try to ignore the problems within us. And for me, I reached toward drinking. But one vivid memory for me from that time frame, I was super hungover and I was like throwing up all morning or something, and I was laying on the bathroom floor at my parents' place. I was probably like 19, and I was just embarrassed of myself. I was embarrassed of everything I did the night before. I was embarrassed of being sick that morning. I was embarrassed of laying on the bathroom floor. I just felt ultimately ashamed. For whatever reason, I felt deeply worthless. Drinking was easier than developing my own confidence. So why did I stop drinking? So the last time I ever drank, I woke up the next morning and there was just change all over my floor. I was missing $100. I had like blood on my legs. And I'd forgotten to do something for work. I believe I called Michelle. Hi, Michelle. I don't know if you're watching this. I know you follow me on Instagram. So hello, Michelle. And I called Michelle and I was like, I don't think I could drink anymore. And I talked to her, I don't know, for 30, 40 minutes. Maybe it was more. Maybe she remembers better than I. It just seemed as though if I projected into the future the degradation of character and the degradation of my output, where would I be if I was on the same road, if I kept drinking as heavily as I was? And what I saw was a life that I didn't want. It was like, what decisions am I going to make one day when I'm drunk? Am I going to drive? Am I going to hit somebody? Am I going to kill somebody? Am I going to miss an opportunity? Would I get arrested? I just projected into the future who I'd become based on the evidence I had. I was like, yeah, man, the future isn't looking good for me if I keep doing this. Because there's a point you get to where you're like, if I keep going down this road, my whole life is going to be an embarrassment. If you're self-medicating, I'd ask yourself, who do I want to become? Because that's the decision you're making when you're reaching for the bottle or like the extra piece of cake or whatever. You're voting for who you're going to become. You're voting for who your kids are going to grow up with, who they're going to be inspired by, or who they're going to use as an example of what not to do. So who are you going to be? It's possible to go through your entire life and not audit yourself and see where your sickness is pulling you around. It's possible to be pulled around by your lesser self forever until you die. Don't be that person. There's a war within every single human being. Are you going to win yours? Is the question. I've said this before in a post, but most people who have ever lived are dead. This light shines on us very briefly. So it's like, what are you going to do with it? So if you'd like to see the full answer, just head over to Patreon. Patreon is the best way to support what I'm doing. So if you want to play a huge part in continuing and being a part of and fueling what I have going on, then join me on Patreon. Patreon is a monthly subscription service. In exchange for that, you get behind the scenes stuff like extended Q&As, access to music before it's released, works in progress, and a monthly live stream. And I'm want to grow more content. So if you have any ideas, let me know for Patreon. Anyway, and yeah, man, that monthly support for me is absolutely huge. So thank you so much, sincerely, if you decide to be a part of that community. That's amazing.
Oh, I can't help but be this way. Maybe I've been on this too long. Go get the meter made.